Several flights to experience Grand Bahama.
It's more low-key. I didn't want the really touristy islands like I was at Nassau, I think it's called. I know this one's a lot more laid back, so that's what I was looking for.
They share what they're most looking forward to.
Swim with the pigs. Okay. We're going to that famous fish fry every Wednesday, I guess, on Stevens Point or Smith's Point.
Smith's Point?
Yeah.
Okay,
so, but we just want to relax, enjoy the culture, the food, that kind of thing.
And while they all traveled from different parts of the United States, the one thing they all had in common was that they're looking forward to returning to beautiful Grand Bahama. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Missick.
All right, thanks, Jamila. And you can now buy a Ring doorbell or floodlight system from your local Alive store. Marlena Leonard telling us that Alive becoming the official national carrier of one of the top home security systems on the market.
The announcement of Alive becoming the first official carrier of Ring home security systems in the Bahamas coming during a launch at their Cable Beach store. Vice President of Consumer Solutions and Marketing at the Cable Bahamas Group, Amber Carey.
And this partnership with Ring, being the only certified Ring supplier in the Bahamas, solidifies that big brands, see our value, see our commitment, see what we're doing in the Bahamian market and want to partner with us.
Alive CEO John Gomez says while people have been able to bring Ring products home before, having a local official retailer provides a new level of convenience.
With us having these particular products in the store, it makes it now where persons can just drive down to one of our stores, they have full access to it rather than waiting until they go away, or if they're ordering it online, they can drive down to one of the Alive stores at any point and purchase them. We also have our technicians who are going to be providing support as well. So to have that, access to that, I think that's going to be phenomenal for our customers.
And it doesn't stop at personal convenience. Both the Cable Bahamas Group CEO Franklin Butler and the Ring National Sales Manager Todd Towie highlights the impact Ring products can have to bring communities closer.
One of our fundamental pillars at Alive is really community involvement. And now to have Ring as a partner around home security, we'll be doing some events with communities as well as developers about making sure that we partner with them to put home security devices in homes to make sure we can encourage communities to be safer as well.
When neighbors watch out for one another, there tends to be a community, and that goes a long way because it now spreads not just to our 2 homes and 3 homes, hey, but down the way as well, and all of a sudden you got 4 or 5 homes in the neighborhood, and then across the street and in that neighborhood, and if you look at it neighborhood by neighborhood, builds a community.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
All right, thanks a lot, Marlena. Well, coming up at 7:30, she tells us the story of how Alive and Ring installed a home system in a Nassau residence this morning, and how a minister is hinting at the inclusion of Ring products in the future of Bahamian housing. And some of the island's 800 miles of road have proper sidewalks for pedestrians, and others do not. And with the safety of pedestrians in mind, that's where the Ministry of Works comes in. Megan Shepard has this update in tonight's Work in Progress feature.
Senior civil engineer in the Ministry of Works, Francis Clark, noting that the ministry has an ongoing pedestrian safety program in place to identify existing sidewalks that are in need of repairs.
Some of these existing sidewalks can have trip factors, which can cause the pedestrians to trip into the road, fall into the carriageway, and it can lead into injury or even fatalities. There are also some locations where there are no pedestrian facilities at all.
Senior Highway Inspector Jermaine Delancey explaining what they look for when deciding the areas in need of sidewalks.
For new sidewalks, we look around the place to see where sidewalks need, especially like in the urban areas where people walk a lot. Sometimes we find that the areas that the sidewalk need to go is too narrow. So a minimum, I think a minimum is 4 feet. 3 feet. It's very small, it's just enough for a wheelchair to be able to access the sidewalk.
Now, if you believe your area is in need of a sidewalk, Delancey says you can submit a request for approval.
So I'll go there and I'll look, and he wants me to report back, so I got to report what I see. Now, if I see that particular area, it's not warranted for a sidewalk, or a sidewalk cannot fit there, it's just less than 3 feet, then my report will be I reject it, or I don't think that it should go there.
However, Delancey emphasizes that he believes sidewalks should be everywhere, as it is a matter of safety to keep pedestrians out of the streets. Reporting for Work in Progress for Our News,
When
I'm
our news
Megan
comes back
Shepard.
from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world. If you're planning to apply for a new U.S. visa, listen up. Fees are about to go up. Plus, we're diving into swim safety, why swim lessons should start early. And later on this day in history, a retired track and field medal winner was born in 1973. The details when Our News returns.
or call 605-4051. Get your Carifta ticket.
This is Our News. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. A day after the mass shooting at a school in Nashville that left 3 children and 3 adults dead, residents of nearby Mount Jubilee, Tennessee, gathering for an evening prayer vigil last night. Authorities say 28-year-old Aubrey Hale, who was heavily armed and carried out the massacre at the private Christian school with 3 guns before being killed by police. Police say the motive was not immediately known, but the suspect had drawn detailed maps of the school, including entry points for the building, and left behind a manifesto and other writings that investigators were examining.
We are in shock and confusion. But Father, we come before you in our grief and our despair and our sense of helplessness in the face of violence, and we lean on you, Father. You are a good God. Father, we pray for the families.
So many young people are confused about the value of life, and I think that's what it boils down to. I think life is not valued in so many ways, and so people resort to things like this because they don't value other people's life and they don't even value their own life. And so I think that people have got to come together to fight against this tragedy.
And U.S. prosecutors on Tuesday unveiling a new indictment against Sam Bankman-Fried, accusing the founder of the now bankrupt FTX cryptocurrency exchange of conspiring to pay a $40 million bribe to Chinese government officials. Lisa Bernhard, with our partners at Reuters, has more.
The founder of now bankrupt crypto exchange FTX was accused by Manhattan federal prosecutors on Tuesday of conspiring to bribe Chinese government officials with $40 million worth of payments. The new charge adds pressure on the 31-year-old former billionaire, who now faces a 13-count indictment over the November collapse of FTX. Prosecutors had previously accused Bankman-Fried of stealing billions of dollars in customer funds to plug losses at his Alameda Research hedge fund and orchestrating an illegal campaign donation scheme to buy influence in Washington.
drawing a request to the U.S. Trademark Office to reject a Black Lives Matter application for a trademark featuring 3 parallel stripes. Reuters reporting that the sportswear giant did not give a reason for the reversal. On Monday, Adidas said the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation design would create confusion with its own famous 3-stripe marking, adding it has been using the logo for more than 70 years. The foundation did not immediately respond to requests for comment. And outrage is growing in Mexico following a fire at a migrant center in Ciudad Juarez in which 38 migrants died. Unverified footage has emerged which appears to show the moment the fire started at the center run by Mexico's National Migration Institute. The footage has been widely shared on Twitter and published by a number of Mexican newspapers, with many people expressing their shock at what they said was a failure by the uniformed staff to act. They point to the moment at which one of the men in uniform seemed to ignore a man behind the barred door who appears to try to open it and fails as the flames spread. And Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown says his government will launch a full investigation into Tuesday's migrant boat accident, which resulted in at least 3 people losing their lives in waters between his country and St. Kitts and Nevis. A multi-nation search is underway to find at least 12 migrants who are missing at sea. Brown expressing deep sorrow at the loss of life and distress suffered by persons aboard a vessel that left Antigua in the early hours of Tuesday morning with 32 people, that is, including 2 Antiguans on board. And finally, the U.S. State Department says the fee for non-immigrant visitor visas for business or tourism, that's the B1 and B2 and BCCS visa, will increase from $160 to $185. A final ruling by the U.S. Federal Register on the application processing fees for Caribbean and other visitors was made on Tuesday and will take effect on May 30th. Other non-petition-based visas, such as student and exchange visitor visas, will also now carry the same cost. Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was March 29th and the birth of the only man to be put on trial for the death of Sir Harry Oakes. Greg is back a little later with your extended weather forecast, and also in our news at 7:30, the path to citizenship, the latest from the immigration minister. It's all coming up when our news returns. Welcome back to our news. It's time now to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was March 29th, including a pirate's hanging and the birth of a Bahamian Olympian. On On this day in Bahamian history, in 1721, Charles Vane, the notorious pirate who used Nassau as a base to raid ships sailing in and around the Bahama Islands, was hanged in Port Royal, Jamaica. The Historical Society notes, when King George I of England issued the Act of Grace in 1717 to all pirates, Vane rejected it and continued to live outside the law. He was nearly captured by Governor Woodes Rogers in July 1718, but escaped. A year later, he was shipwrecked in a storm on an uninhabited island, and a few months after that, he tried to board an English vessel and was recognized by one of the crew. He was then taken to Jamaica, where he was put on trial, found guilty, and was hanged at the gallows point. In 1910, the infamous Alfred Merigiani was born in Mauritius. Merigiani is known in Bahamian and world history as the only person ever charged with the high-profile murder of Harry Oakes on July 7, 1943. The same year, Merigiani was put on trial and found not guilty. At the time of the murder, he was married to Oakes' daughter, Nancy. Then fast forward to 1973, multi-medal winner Troy McIntosh was born. The retired track and field athlete specialized in the 400 meters and the 4x4 meter relay. He represented the Bahamas in the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney, Australia in the 4x4 meter relay and won a bronze medal. He also won a gold medal at the World Championships in Canada in 2001 in the same event. Then in 2010, a tornado touched down in Freeport, Grand Bahama, causing the tragic death of 3 people and injuring 4 others when a crane was overturned by the heavy winds. Damage was also reported at other properties in the surrounding area. And finally, in 2022, the Shell Saxon Superstars named Sir Franklin Wilson an honorary member as part of a surprise 75th birthday celebration. Sir Franklin at the time calling it an honor.
Gratitude. I mean, this is simply amazing. This is an unauthorized wig stoppage. and you know, Americans have this thing, but only in America. That's foolishness. Only in the Bahamas. Only in the Bahamas. You have unauthorized wig stoppage like this, and everybody having fun, and everyone happy.
All right, well, tonight we're sharing the importance of knowing how to swim and why kids should start learning early. Joshua Williams has the details.
Swim instructor Micaiah Bostwick says aquatic skills should be taught from childhood. He says you can introduce kids to water right from the bathtub.
So bath time is one of the more fun activities you can do, what everyone does at home. Introducing toys, cups, splashing, allowing the child to be in their natural environment in the bathtub.
Bostwick, who teaches swimming programs for kids, says it's vital for parents to involve their kids in lessons early.
Swimming saves lives. I can't stress the importance enough on them being placed in a program to help them learn the safety skills and able to get in and out in the nick of time. For parents considering swim lessons for young children, I would say find a program that is tailored to you. You can ask the coach what skills is the child going to learn, and then see if it appeals to them, and whatever they're comfortable with, then they can introduce the child to that program.
Water safety not only applies to children but also adults. Bostwick says it's important for every Bahamian adult to be versed in swimming.
All Bahamians should know how to swim, all. And if you don't know how to swim, you should join a swim program. Summertime is coming. Unfortunately, almost every year we have a drowning, and this could be prevented by Bahamians just taking initiative and joining a swim program, putting themselves in the swim program and also their children, just to get the basic skills, okay? We all like to go on the beach. That's one of our main events as Bahamians, and being able to be capable in the water is important.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
All All right, thanks a lot, Joshua. To watch that story again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. It's going to do it for us in News at 7. Joining us now, Italia Hall. She's got the latest headlines. Italia?
Yes, Ken, great story from Josh on swim safety. It's so important to ensure that everyone here in the Bahamas knows how to swim.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially after Hurricane Dorian.
Yeah.
It's a great skill to have.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much, Ken. Well, the immigration minister talks about the path to citizenship and later introducing Ring. Here are your latest headlines. In the spotlight tonight, the path to citizenship, the latest from the immigration minister, first tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. A Bahamian businessman lost his fight against extradition to the United States on drug trafficking charges, the latest from the Supreme Court, and efforts to make safer communities.
We're hoping that we can encourage a lot of them to get Ring. It'll make you feel a little bit safer.
And later, Our News goes one-on-one with the head coach of the Carifta team about the road ahead. Our News Live at 7:30 starts in a moment.
Oh, it's your thing. Do what you want to do. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. Oh, it's your thing. Do what you want to do.
Shareholders are very happy.
Whether you're battling a chronic condition or offsetting a new injury, Doctors Hospital's comprehensive rehab services offer the help you need now.
Go to doctors.
3 advanced facilities at Collins Avenue, Carmichael Road in Cable Beach means your personalized plan for care is just a visit away. From physiotherapy to occupational therapy and speech and language pathology, our team approach is all about rebuilding together. For a full list of services, visit doctorshosp.com/rehabilitation. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. Isn't your health worth it?
Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Italia Hall. A Bahamian businessman losing his fight against extradition to the United States on drug trafficking charges. The Court of Appeal ordering the surrender to the Central Police Station by 2 p.m. today. We have more on the case in just a moment, but first, Immigration Minister Keith Bell weighing in on the citizenship issues days after Chief Justice Ian Winder sent a stern warning to officials. Today, Bell is defending government's position on the matter. Berthany McDermott reports.
The immigration minister stressing there must remain a stringent process for granting citizenship. His comments follow those of Chief Justice Sir Ian Winder, who said requiring people born in the Bahamas to foreign parents to live on the outside of their own society is a recipe for social discontent. Today, Bell defended the process.
For our country, where we have a very significant influx of persons into our country, not just from Haiti, not just from Cuba, not just from Jamaica, but all over the world. Persons applying for citizenship or persons who are born in the Bahamas to non-Bahamian parents. We have to ensure that immigration does its due diligence.
The immigration matter has been a hot-button topic for quite some time now. Sir Ian said there is absolutely no lawful justification why these applications ought to take years and in some cases decades to be processed. But it seems Bell is of a different view. He says there's also been several instances of fraud.
In many instances, the delay is not necessarily the fault of immigration alone. We have to ensure that documents which are submitted are authenticated. We have to ensure that we get birth certificates. We know that there is significant fraud. There is persons taking on the identification of other persons. We have had the cases.
Children born in the Bahamas to non-Bahamian parents have to wait until they are 18 to apply for citizenship. Bell also hit back at those who say government should be given a timeline to respond to citizenship applications.
I don't think it's reasonable for government to necessarily put in place a timeline. You must accept the fact that citizenship is one of the highest things that a country can bestow on an individual. We're talking about citizenship. We're not talking about something else. So it is nothing to be taken lightly.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
And with immigration being the focal point of many discussions locally, tonight we hear from a resident who has gone through the ropes to become the youngest Bahamian Indian citizen by naturalization. Our Joshua Williams has the story.
मैं बहुत खुश हूँ Bahamian होने के लिए. I'm proud to be a Bahamian.
The newest Bahamian citizen by naturalization, sharing with Our News his journey to becoming a Bahamian citizen after living in the Bahamas for 15 plus years. Looking back, he says he did not have trouble adapting and that he's grateful that he came when he did.
The journey has been great. I think it was really easy for me to adapt in as a kid. I think it would have been really difficult if I came in later, down in my teenage years. I came in because I came in around 10, it was easier for me to adapt to the culture. Everybody like that is everybody made me feel like I was home.
Noel says the process of becoming a Bahamian citizen was a challenging one. However, he credits his older brother and employers for helping him along the way. An avid video gamer and streamer with thousands of social media followers, Noel shares his vision for impacting the community and wider country.
There's so many talented kids here who don't have the opportunity like me. I want to create an opportunity where kids can grow up and they'll be like, oh, I want to be a content creator, I want to be a gamer, I'm good at what I do, but I don't have any opportunity or look up to anybody that, hey, they can do this, and I want to make a change where somebody who they can look up to or come to regarding this, so I can help them and guide them. I don't care about the money part at all. It's just about creating opportunities.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
Thanks, Joshua. Well, a Bahamian businessman today lost his fight against extradition to the United States on drug trafficking charges. The Court of Appeal ordered Roscoe Thompson, who was on bail, to surrender to the Central Police Station by 2 p.m. today so that he could be taken to prison to await extradition. A U.S. jury indicted Thompson on a charge on conspiracy to distribute cocaine back in 2007. Extradition proceedings didn't commence until 2014. Now, Thompson is accused of conspiring with others to smuggle cocaine from Colombia into the United States using the Bahamas as a transshipment point. The appellate court rejecting arguments from Muriel Ducille Casey that there was insufficient evidence to support the charge and that it would be unjust to extradite Thompson due to delay. That clip from a viral video of two police officers approaching a man sparking criticism over police conduct. In the video, two officers armed with high-powered rifles were pointing at the man while yelling to him to walk to the back of a car. What appears to be a confused child, in what appears to be a school uniform was also seen in the video. We put the question to National Security Minister Wayne Monroe, who responded this way.
What the hell all that for? What all of that for? This little boy scared?
Why is it causing concern? Because of the child that was there standing in the road crying.
Was the child shot?
No, the child was not shot.
Was the child touched?
No, the child was not touched.
So what's the issue?
I think that they were pointing the weapons.
The guns.
I saw the video. They were pointing the weapons, keeping the adult undercover. Are they expected to drop their guard because there's a child or a female or an old person? That would be a recipe for us ending up with a dead policeman.
A 46-year-old Grand Bahama man is in hospital tonight after being brutally stabbed while he was at a Pinders Point business on Tuesday evening. It's unclear what the victim was doing at the business or what led to the attack, but here's what we do know. Police say the Pinedale 8 Mile Rock resident was seriously injured after being brutally stabbed about the body. The victim was transported to the hospital in a private vehicle where he is listed in stable condition. The suspect in this matter turned himself into police and is assisting with investigations. Police on the island of Bimini making an unusual find on Tuesday afternoon. A silver and black .38 revolver was found wrapped in a towel. Officers from the Drug Enforcement Unit found the gun after searching bushes off Queens Highway in Allistown. No arrests were made and investigations are continuing. Well, beautiful conditions in the capital today. Meteorologist Greg Thompson has the latest live from the Weather Center. Good evening, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Natalia. Beautiful and hot. Temperatures still made it up into the mid-80s, and it's still warm outside as it is right now. 80 degrees with just a few clouds. The winds out with north-northwest. There's a prefrontal trough that moved through us earlier. Feels like 80 degrees on the outside. Satellite view, prefrontal trough, as I mentioned, just clipping the southern portion of Abaco and just across the northern portion of Andros. Some isolated showers with that. But there's a frontal boundary to the north of that extending across the extreme northern islands and into Florida. We'll see that boundary side towards the south. Showers and thunderstorms developing across Florida. We'll get in here tonight through tomorrow. That's your quick check on weather. Stick with us. So look at your extended forecast. Is still coming.
Still to come on our news, disinformation in the spotlight as the Prime Minister addresses the 2023 Summit for Democracy. Plus, new details about the Department of Inland Revenue cracking down on businesses, charging VAT without paying it to government. And later, if you or someone you know is on the hunt for a job, pay close attention. Another label on the blocks is coming up, and officials want to make sure you are prepared. Find out how when our news returns. Addressing a plenary session at the 2023 Summit for Democracy, Prime Minister Philip Davis was among several world leaders discussing how democracy can deliver strong institutions. The virtual summit hosted by the United States focuses on renewing democracy at home and confronting autocracies abroad. Davis acknowledging that the effects of disinformation cannot be ignored.
At a time when all of us need to engage our citizens in debate about a dangerous new climate change era, about the promises and perils of artificial intelligence, and about how best to deliver sustainable and inclusive economic growth, we find that first we must fight our way past deliberate distortions. Disinformation creates cynicism, amplifies division, and degrades trust. There are no shortcuts to fighting manipulation and propaganda. Efforts will require innovation, ingenuity, collaboration, and resources.
Davis adding that small island developing states like the Bahamas are in the front lines of climate change, but no country is safe from the impacts of a changing climate.
In order to avoid the most dire outcomes, we will need to coordinate and cooperate in partnership and across borders to achieve net zero in emissions. The energy transition will inevitably be disruptive and harder or impossible to achieve unless citizens of every country can share a consensus on the underlying facts. So, let us be united in acknowledging the stakes as we fight for truth and democracy.
We now know more about those two Harbor Island businesses that were served seizure warrants by the Department of Inland Revenue. Our news understands that the businesses are allegedly Konkin Coconuts, a luxury island concierge, and Andre's Rentals, both located in Harbor Island. The warrants were issued from Inland Revenue and executed by police just after 1:30 p.m. Monday. It is alleged the businesses were charging VAT to customers, but not paying it to government, which is an offense under the Value-Added Tax Act. From Andre's, officials confiscated 30 golf carts and 3 boats. From Konkin Coconuts, officials confiscated 102 cases of pink sands, 21 bottles of vodka, 3 golf carts, and 2 Mercedes cars, among other items. It's spring break, and lots of airlines and cruise lines are reporting an increase in numbers. Among them is Bahamas Air. I spoke with the Deputy Managing Director on passenger numbers, and he says so far spring break 2023 has been very encouraging.
The industry expected a recovery after with the post-pandemic, but the recovery that we were expecting has been exceeded.
He says as it stands right now, their passengers have been more tourists than locals, but adds that as the Easter approaches, those dynamics will change.
We're excited about it because now, not just spring break, we're going into Easter, which is already traditionally a high time for us, and the forecasting for the summer is also very encouraging. It shows that persons are anxious to get back to normal, so to speak. So I think that contributed heavily to the high rate of the amount of persons that are traveling, and it speaks well for the country, the airline, and the economy as a whole.
Regatta and homecoming season will ramp up over the next few months across the country into the summer. The Deputy Managing Director says more Bahamians are expected to travel during that time, and Bahamas Air's scheduling committee is looking to add additional flights.
The majority of the flights are already full. Going into even up to Long Island, persons are already booking early. So now our team is sitting down now and trying to figure out how we could add additional flights to compensate for the shortfall.
All right, great news. While the Department of Labor gearing up for another Labor on the Blocks event, this time in the Freetown constituency. The event is set for this Saturday, April 1st, on the grounds of the Pilgrim Baptist Church. Administrator Sandra Fox says the church is looking forward to hosting the event.
We are extremely delighted to have that opportunity to assist because, like the minister said earlier, pilgrims are not there just spiritually, but we want to help the social needs of the people. And so we were glad to open our church's doors for this great initiative.
Now, she says the church's auditorium can hold around 400 people. Area Member of Parliament Wayne Monroe revealing some of the agencies and businesses looking for employees. They include the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, IHOP, SMG, BTVI, and many others. Bell says the Department of Labor will assist job seekers with resume preparation and with attire. Department of Labor Acting Assistant Director Simone Thurston invites job seekers to come to the department on Thursday for job readiness assistance.
Our aim is to assist you as best as possible in getting employment. And so outside of the job fair, the seminar workshop is designed to assist you in those last-minute job interviewing tips and techniques.
When our news comes back from the break, we speak to the head coach for Team Bahamas about the road ahead.
And the Grand Bahama Volleyball Association is back with the youth development program. Stay with us for our sports.
And later, ringing in the future of housing in the Bahamas. We have all the details when our news returns. This is Our News. Welcome back. We hear from the head coach of the Bahamas track and field Carifta team and Bahamian baseball star Jazz Chisholm signs with Jordan. Tej Adderley joins us now in studio with a check on sports. Tej?
Hi, Talia. Good evening and welcome to Our Sports. I'm Tej Adderley. The Bahamas Carifta track and field team has been officially named along with the coaching and managerial staff. The head coach hails from Grand Bahama. Our Sasha Lightburn had a chance to speak with him today.
An 80-member team was officially named yesterday with 8 coaches, 3 managers, and 5 chaperones. The head coach is John Ingram, who hails from Grand Bahama. And this is not his first hurrah. A former athlete himself, we spoke to him about being named the head coach for the 50th team.
I felt it was a privilege, to be considered and named for this team. Even it's the 50th. It's the 50th, and it's a huge event. It's a privilege, and it's here in the Bahamas, and we're going to have exciting Carifta games here at home.
Now, while it's still early, I did ask him about his expectations for what has been dubbed the Golden Orgy team.
I feel that we're going to do great in the sprints and the jumps and the throws. Coach Maycock and those guys, when they did an excellent job in those field events, and we're going to make some noise at Carifta games.
We also spoke about the pressures of being on home soil.
Yeah, everything you do, you expect pressure. It's going to be criticism, and people are going to follow us closely. But what I know the Bahamas team is going to do its best, and we're going to show the Bahamian people that we're fighters. We're capable of through any despair, we're gonna pull through and make things happen. We got Jamaica, a powerhouse. We're gonna do our best.
Now, the championships will get underway beginning on April 7th at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Over 600 athletes are expected to participate from 28 countries. Reporting for Our News, I'm Sasha Lightborn.
Thanks, Sasha. The Grand Bahama Volleyball Association's Junior Development Program is underway. We spoke to the president of the Grand Bahama Volleyball Association, Whitney Ann Brister, and she's excited about the turnout. The Grand Bahama Volleyball Association's Junior Development Program is underway. We spoke to President of the Grand Bahama Volleyball Association, Whitney Ann Brister, and she's excited about the turnout.
It was an overwhelming turnout, and we have a lot of students that didn't even make it today because of GGYA and the Carifta trials. So I can honestly say that we started off with a bang.
The program, which will run through June, is open to anyone interested in learning to play from age 6 to adulthood.
Well, we've been on a 5-year lapse because of Hurricane Dorian, which was 2019, and then after that you had the lockdown with COVID, so now we are literally in the rebuilding phase, so volleyball is back and in full effect on the island.
Grand Bahama Volleyball has been on hiatus since Dorian and through the COVID lockdowns, but Ambrose is optimistic about the return of volleyball on the island.
Between now and June, when we break, we're going to have an ending program where we're going to have the best students that come out. Then we're going to have a forest tournament with them, and that should transfer over into the high school games. So when you go to the high school matches, you'll be able to pick out who's getting the skill, who's being developed.
The program runs every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. at the YMCA until June 24th. If you're interested in learning, be sure to pass by. And finally, Kai Jones of the Charlotte Hornets showed his boundless potential last night. The New Providence native scored 12 points and pulled down 14 rebounds in just 22 minutes of action as his team secured the win against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kai had a perfect game from the field, going 5 for 5, and he put on an aerial display with a couple of high-flying dunks. This year has been an up-and-down one for Kai as he's been in and out of the lineup. He also had a couple stints in the G League. When he has managed to get on the floor, he's been able to show his incredible ability. The Hornets' last game of the year will come on Friday night against the Chicago Bulls. And finally, Jazz Chisholm of the Miami Marlins has signed with the Jordan brand. The 25-year-old phenom becomes only the 5th baseball player and the first Bahamian to sign with the storied shoe and apparel brand. And that's your look at sports. I'm Tej Adderley.
All right. Thanks for that, Tej, and congratulations to Jazz on his accomplishment. Still ahead on Our News tonight, what happens when you add the power of a security camera to your doorbell? Our Marlena Leonard has the story coming up. Plus, Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look ahead when Our News returns.
Here at I can say anything that I want to, or if mommy or my sister pulls up at home, I can always tell them, well, I'm not at home or I'm at work. Coming from work, I can scan out the area, make sure that I'm safe getting home when no one's there.
And Ring doorbells could soon quickly become the new normal for Bahamian housing. And the housing minister says she hopes to see Ring systems installed by having sessions with residents of Pinecrest and Renaissance at Carmichael.
We're hoping that we can encourage a lot of them to get Ring. It'll make you feel a little bit safer moving in your home and having that safety net, that protection and security. And so we are going to see how we can collab with Ring, because I do want to encourage as many of them that can afford it to get the product.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
All right, thanks for that, Marlena, and thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.